Good afternoon, everyone. And I hope you all had a good lunch. Yes, and a good lunch means afternoon siesta. Right? So I'll try not to interrupt the siesta too much, but um, I guess there's some interesting things which are happening, which you might like to know, and some of those may be known to all of you here. But I think the perspective which I will try and bring about is something more which is on the ground in terms of developments. So let me just first of all, without reading from the script, which my team has given to me to be read out here, share with you the fact that there couldn't have been more exciting times for IT and pharma to happen now. Pharma, of course, we know why, because of the pandemic, and hopefully it's behind us. But for IT, I think within the pharma space, it couldn't have been more exciting. And I'll dwell on that a little more while I'll go through my written speech, as well as certain areas where I like to bring in certain areas. So as you know, that the sector has continued to be one of the key stakeholders, and of course in the pharma supply chain, while expanding access to affordable and quality medicines. So that's where our pharma supply chain fits in. India, of course, we all know, is developing at an unprecedented rate. We have number 5 globally in terms of the GDP. And to ensure a quicker and a more robust response to any future health crisis, it's imperative now, to leverage learnings to effectively bridge gaps and sustain momentum on the opportunities, which will hopefully accelerate innovation and enable better patient outcomes. So let me come quickly to the digitization of the supply chains. So technology definitely remains one of the most important areas for pharma companies to focus on. And leaders have admitted that one immediate result is the greater transparency, which leads to better decision making. And technology can be used to integrate functions across the network, increase the visibility of products across the value chain, and automate processes to improve the supply chain's responsiveness and reliability. I think companies should be focusing on 3 areas as we see it. Integrating enterprise software. So what we've seen is most of the pharma companies have an ERP system, and is often used for specific operations, and integrated and it's not integrated with the larger network. So just to give you an example, if a company is using ERP software to manage inventory, the location of the raw materials and the finished products are available only at the plant level and not at a cross-site level. So companies can, of course, achieve significant operational efficiency with more effective implementation of the ERP systems. We are also looking at improving tracking and visibility across the value chain. I think this is an important piece which is coming up now, and I'll talk a little more about that in a while. So with the rapid growth in the industry, we're seeing pharma companies must use tracking technologies to streamline distribution and reduce lost revenue as a result of damaged products and recalls. Greater visibility during planning also optimizes inventory levels across nodes. So let me dwell on this part. I don't know how many of you are kind of aware of the kind of efforts which are going on with the government currently on the tracking of products is concerned. We, I think, all know that there are 300 products which are definitely going to be put under the QR code system. The information related to that has been specified in the circular, which says these are the few areas where, the QR code should kind of be providing that information. So I think that's where we see a great opportunity. I don't know of if all of you are aware that there's a separate conversation which is going on the counterfeiting part in the pharmaceutical industry, where again I think technology is going to really play an important role. OPPI has been in conversations with the government on this, and we've had meetings at the NHA level, who are, of course, going to be putting the whole technology together. I don't know how many of the IT companies here are already in touch with them, but I think they're going to put up a very, very robust system out there for putting the entire tracking mechanism in place going forward from a counterfeit point of view. So these are two very big conversations which are currently happening in the government, and of course the CDSCO is an integral part of this entire conversation. And going forward, we are looking at creating a very very robust framework for actually implementing this down the line. So OPPI is again involved in working with the government, with the Department of Pharma there, with Ministry of Health, and of course through Ministry of Health, the CDSCO, as also with the NHA to kind of develop that framework for not only those 300 drugs which have to have a mandatory QR code, but also for more drugs as we go forward. And that's what we are hearing, which is good news, because I think counterfeit is a serious problem which we kind of are still not being able to tackle at the ground level. So so much about the tracking and visibility which we need definitely down the value chain. And the ID companies here should definitely be also thinking on lines of not only tracking the products right up to the retailer level, but also beyond the retailer level, which means once it is in the hands of the patient, what is call to action kind of a mechanism whereby a patient back at home or at the pharmacy is able to verify that this is a genuine product and not a counterfeit. So this conversation, in fact, we also had with NHA, wherein the patient safety angle and the patient's call to action point was discussed, and a similar discussion followed in the DOP, which is the Department of Pharma in the Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers. So I think this is one piece, I think, which is going to drive the entire IT blueprint in the pharma industry in a much, much bigger way. So it will be outside the production facilities, outside the supply chain. I know I'm supposed to talk more about supply chain and cold storage and all those things, but I guess this is one thing which I would rather put my time into, to share with you the large-scale implementation of the IT right up to the patient level, which is expected to see going forward. I would also encourage, a lot of IT companies to come up with solutions looking at what are the global models available here on the supply chain part of it, not only keeping in mind what is mandated by the circulars of the government, but more from a patient uh, access point of view in terms of what they can get in terms of medicines which are genuine. Let me just dwell some time on the cold storage since it is a topic given to me. So the life of the life-saving medicines can come to an end without proper preservation. The importance of that medicine plays in human life, the same that proper storage plays for the medicine. Cold chain services play a vital part in the supply chain in the healthcare industry. So the pharmaceutical business, which is extremely sensitive to temperature and timing regulations, relies on cold supply chain networks for storage and transportation. So some figures I'd like to throw at you. By 2021, India supplied 25% of all pharmaceuticals in UK, 40% of the generic drug demand in the USA, and over 50% of the world's demand for vaccines, which is big, really big. In addition, a recent analysis by the JLL project states that the national cold chain sector would expand at a CAGR of about 20% by 2025. I think unbroken supply chain, it's very important in view of improving the cold supply chain for the pharmaceutical industry, and that can be done by utilizing the big data, predictive analysis, and AI for shipping planning and demand forecasting. I think smart storage is something which the IT companies may like to focus on. I'll just dwell a minute here. So tech-enabled automation system that makes use of the best AI, robotics, and IoT-enabled devices can monitor the precise temperature-controlled storage environment and drive energy optimization and enable workers to keep stock, log shipment, arrival and departure, predict and report any likely damage, and help keep the warehouse efficiently functioning 24/7 with little human interference. Drones and smaller temperature controlled storage devices are gradually changing the last mile delivery for the pharmaceutical supply chain network with the advent of AI, robotics, and technological breakthroughs. These developments will definitely prompt shipping to even the most remote regions of the nation or the world while preserving the product's efficiency and guaranteeing that it travels in an ideal temperature. So I think there has to be an integration at the back-end level between the IT players and the cold chain operators. I think I'll talk quickly about the blockchain technology and pharma. It's one area where I think it'll probably have the biggest impact by controlling logistics and inventory, as well as lowering difficulties with theft and counterfeiting. According to the Gartner report, blockchain will increase company value by approximately 176 billion by 2025, and by 2030 it would rise to even more, which is close to about $3.1 trillion. So blockchain again combined with IoT sensors. This is, I think, an important one. With IoT sensors can allow manufacturers to monitor the temperature during the transport and the storage of the whether it's vaccines or whether it is other products, and flag any outages to check and minimize spoilage during transit. This transit related area is very, very important to pharmaceutical companies, where they are not really able to track the temperature control, which may affect the efficacy of the pharma products. So therefore, I talked about the integration and the blockchain to kind of work hand in hand to with the within the IT framework and the and the logistics and warehousing companies are concerned. So I really don't know. Is there any IT company here which can talk about this level of integration which they may have attempted already? Okay. So I guess what I'm saying could make a lot of business sense to a lot of IT companies to take back as solutions to pharma companies. So over the last few decades, that's the way forward as I see it. It has been observed that firms have increasingly started optimizing their value chain by restructuring their operations globally through outsourcing and offshoring to different countries. Today, the firms have consolidated their manufacturing base in cost-effective regions, such as Southeast Asia, to capitalize on the comparative advantages offered by these countries. So that's an important piece where let me share with you that there are going to be bigger investments coming into pharma, both from the domestic and global players as we go forward. But we really need to see what kind of infrastructure can we, at the end of the day, in terms of supply chains, temperature control, tracing mechanism, tackling counterfeits, can be tackled to have them look at India very seriously. With the prolonging crisis, we are definitely seeing both regional and global value chains have been severely impacted. And because COVID-19 has led to lockdowns in a lot of countries, suppliers in this chain were temporarily ceasing production, and logistics providers can no longer could not transport goods seamlessly. So thus, I think there is a pressing need to re-evaluate the global value chains, wherein the manufacturing base may need diversification, the trade channels may need to be re-engineered, and the investment destinations may see a shift. And there's more to that line than what I can express here. There is the correct opportunity for India, as I said, to emerge and develop a trusted value-based supply chain that can help in reducing dependency on external factors for imports of materials, not just in pharma, but from a sector agnostic perspective as well. So the industry understands and supports the government in all its efforts to, in making a more IT-enabled pharma industry, and plus, of course, reaching out to the patients on multiple parameters in terms of the safety and the efficacy of the medicines. Thank you so much.